Tony Hawk is a living legend, obviously. Obviously synonymous with skateboarding. Fact, he is the name, he is the face of the sport, and it's been that way for 22 years and counting. And right about now, let me tell the Drew in West LAs of the world, the skateboarding purists who are tightening their trucks, greasing their bearings. Put down your phones, turn off the CKY VHS tape, and stop writing that tweet about how I'm overlooking Rodney Mullen and disrespecting Day One Song. Because you and I both know, Drew, that you, me, and everybody else would not even know that those other guys existed without Tony Hawk. Without Tony Hawk doing what Tony Hawk did. Tony Hawk made the sport of skating mainstream. He took it to unimaginable levels in the summer of '99 by becoming the first person ever to nail a 900. And then by releasing one of the most iconic video games of all time with his name on it just 2 months after the fact.
Everybody picture it. Here we go. Feel it. Are you kidding me? Yeah, look at this. Tony Hawk, everybody.
Back in the day, when the daily grind was just holding triangle. And if that joke went over your head, then clearly you did not have a PlayStation in the late 90s. Now, 22 years later, you would think that a 52-year-old Tony Hawk would not be getting anywhere near a skateboard or a 14-foot half pipe. Hell, even I've got a few years on Tony. And while I know that age is just a number for anybody not named Rit. I mean, for anybody not named Rit, 50 is the new 40. For Rit, 50 is the new 90. But even I feel weird talking about skating and half pipes. Okay, but that in age aside, to be fair, I'll admit it. I've got background knowledge. I've talked to Tony, and I'll show you that in a minute. But, this is not exactly where I live. This is not exactly what I do. My backyard pool actually has water in it. We swim in the pool. What middle-aged dude is into skating anyway? Tony Hawk, that's who. Tony Hawk is still that guy. He should be, and hopefully forever. Because Tony Hawk is still Tony Hawk, and Tony Hawk at age 52 can still do Tony Hawk things. He just posted an amazing video on Twitter that has to be seen to be believed. There's no way this dude, who's just shy of getting senior discounts, and believe me, Tony, those emails start to come and they suck. All of a sudden, you're going to get flooded with senior dating websites, Tony. It sucks. AARP, Tony, it sucks. They're coming, trust me. However, this same guy who's going to get those same emails should not be flying through the air sticking 720s. But that's exactly what he's doing.
Yes. Holy.
The board flip is so good. Now, if you saw that on CBS Sports Network, you know how cool that was. If you're listening, the audio does not do it justice, not even close. But that was the sound of Tony Hawk landing a 720 at the age of 52 and dropping a big ol' F yeah after he nailed it. Like I said, the audio does not do it justice, but the backstory does. First off, did I mention he is 52? Did I mention that's a 52-year-old man spinning a full 2 rotations above a 14-foot vert pipe with a birdhouse deck beneath his feet? You're not supposed to do that at 52, but Tony just did. He tweeted that with the video. Quote, I recently landed this 720, and it was a battle. The last one I made before this was over 3 years ago, and it's much harder now, all things considered. My recently dislocated fingers hinder my grab. My spin is slower. I need to go higher above the ramp to get a full rotation, and I'm really old. End quote. So, to put that tweet into context, Tony Hawk is older than Rit. and he's still doing 720s in the pipe. Let that sink in for a minute. If you watch the video, which has already been viewed over 3 million times, you'll see Tony bail and slam his body into the half pipe a half a dozen times before he finally lands the trick. A 52-year-old's bones are supposed to disintegrate into dust upon impact. This guy is falling from 20 feet into plywood and getting right back up. It's amazing. Except he's no stranger to getting banged around. I had Tony Hawk on my podcast last year, April of 2020, Ep 124 if you want to find it. He told me about coming back from an injury earlier in his career and what that was like.
I broke my pelvis, fractured my thumb, fractured my skull, and the healing part wasn't the hardest because I've been hurt before, and I know that, I know to lay low and to work into it. The hardest part was regaining my confidence. It took me about a year to be able to do the kind of tricks that I knew I was capable of because suddenly I had these doubts of things that I used to take for granted. What can I say? It's my lifeline. It's the buzz that I've always chased since I was a kid. It's my way of expressing myself. It's my, even if I couldn't come back in full form, I was still going to skate somehow, some way. I just couldn't give it up. And it also, through those years, it taught me how truly passionate I am about it because I wasn't doing it to get back just to get paid or anything. I was doing it because I had to.
This dude, that is so good. This is why we do that side hustle. This is why we do that podcast, to talk to people about things like that. That is so good. And crazy that, and not crazy, but impressive that he's just as passionate about it at 52. That was Tony Hawk reminiscing on my podcast. And I thought that was so interesting what he said. It was not, he had a fractured skull and a jacked up pelvis. He said coming back from the injury was not the thing. I've done that before. It was my loss of my confidence, my mojo, my juju, whatever you want to call it, my thing, my it. I had to get that back, my swag. And he did. And that was him reminiscing on my podcast. And now I'm playing a brand new bit of audio of him landing a 720 this week. What's also crazy is Tony Hawk re-released the first 2 installments of his Pro Skater video game franchise last year. More than 2 decades after the initial release. I hear that song all the time. When I'm on Sirius XM and I go to Lithium, they play that song all the time. Primus. Jerry's a race car driver, yo. The video games last fall went right to number 1 on the charts and were voted as the best games of the year. That's what I mean, man. Like, your life is not over when you hit 40. Well, Ritz was. Your life's not over when you hit 50. This guy's still killing the game at 52. Nailing 720s, selling video games out the backside. It was like $19.99 all over again. The guy's got the best video game in the world, and he's still landing multiple rotation vert tricks in a half pipe. Except it's not $19.99. It's 2021, and Tony Hawk is 52. And still very much the face of skateboarding and always will be. Something he told me back in April that he is in fact up for.
I'm hugely proud if I was the catalyst to bring more people in. It was weird to suddenly be in the spotlight so much because I had glimpses of that through my career, but probably the most pressure that I felt was having to represent skateboarding, which I was happy to do, but that's a tall order, and I really wanted to represent skating in an authentic way and to show that it can be a positive influence on kids. And I think that was probably the most pressure that I felt through the years, was to represent it properly and not just on my own behalf.
Authentic is such a good word. It's so great that, imagine that guy and the amount of money that guy's made, the amount of international fame that guy has, and the acclaim, and still so real, still so authentic, still so humble, still so down to earth, still gets it. Incredible. 2021, man. Year of the old man. Year of the old guy. Think about it. 2021. Year of the old guy. Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. Tony Hawk landing 720s. Joe Biden running the country. Rit seeing a personal trainer.
Bring it on.
It's true. Age really is only a number. But go check out that Tony Hawk video on his Twitter feed, and then check out my podcast with him. Come for the backstory of his incredible career, and stay for the mutual adoration of Evel Knievel.
I saw all of his jumps when I was a kid. Like, he was a hero. And, just the fact that he tried it was amazing. But I did get to do a photo shoot with him in Montana. I flew to Montana. I think it was for Men's Journal. And he towed me on my skateboard with his bike. I have a photo of literally sketching on Evel Knievel's motorcycle and wearing his helmet. It was worth the trip. It was amazing.
If by worth the trip you mean like best day ever, that's incredible. Yo, TV, am I wrong or am I right? Do you not have a picture of Drew in West LA on a skateboard with Eddie George and Tony Hawk? Holy crap, they do. Check it out, CBS Sports Network. Look at you, Drew. Look at Drew just kicking it with two legends, Eddie George and Tony Hawk. Or check Tony Hawk kicking it with two legends, Eddie George and Drew. Good stuff, Drew. All right, then. We're covering everything today. When we come back.